Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're taking a deep dive into a programming language that's, well, been the backbone of the web for decades. And believe it or not, it is still an absolute powerhouse today. So let's just kick things off with a quick question. What do you think is the one language that connects massive sites like Wikipedia, the original version of Facebook, and, get this, still runs on over 75% of the web's server side? Any ideas?
You got it. It's PHP. And look, if you thought PHP was some kind of relic from the past, you're definitely going to want to stick around. In this explainer, we're going to show you exactly why PHP isn't just surviving, it's actually thriving in 2025.
Okay, first things first. Before we get into the why, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what PHP actually is.
So here's the official definition. PHP is an open source scripting language, but the most important part of that sentence, server-side. See, unlike HTML or CSS, which are browser handles, PHP does all of its magic on the web server before a single thing gets sent to your screen.
And what's so cool is that this fundamental idea has been there from the very beginning. Just look at these old school lecture notes. The key phrases are right there, written by hand. It generates the dynamic pages, and it can be embedded into HTML. That's really the secret sauce of PHP. It builds the web page on the fly, making it different for every user or situation. So let's break down what makes PHP so useful. First, like we said, it runs on the server. Second, it's dynamically typed. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying it's super flexible. You don't have to tell it ahead of time what kind of data you're storing. Third, it's platform independent, so your code can run on Windows, Linux, a Mac, you name it. And finally, it's great at managing sessions, which is how a website remembers you as you click from page to page.
All right, so now we know what it is. But here's the million-dollar question. In a world full of Python, JavaScript, and all these newer languages, why on earth should you still care about PHP today?
Well, let's just start with a number that is pretty much impossible to ignore. A whopping 40% of all websites on the internet run on WordPress. And guess what WordPress is built with? Yep, PHP. That one platform alone gives PHP a massive, massive footprint online. But its reach goes way beyond just WordPress. When you look at all the websites where we actually know the server-side language, PHP is used in over 75% of them. That is staggering. It's not just about old sites, it shows you how deeply PHP is woven into the very fabric of the web. So what does this all mean for you, right? Well, it means there are real jobs and real opportunities. PHP has a reputation for being super easy for beginners to pick up. It's also the go-to choice for tons of small and medium-sized businesses, which means there's always a need for developers to maintain sites or work with WordPress. And on top of that, modern tools like the Laravel framework make it incredibly powerful for building really complex, modern apps. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now for the fun part. Let's get into the how. How does a simple PHP file actually turn into a web page that you see in your browser? It's basically this simple three-step dance. First, your browser asks the server for a page, let's say index.php. Second, the server grabs that file and runs all the PHP code inside it. Maybe that code pulls your username from a database or finds the latest blog posts. And third, the server takes the result of all that code, creates a plain old HTML page, and sends that back to your browser. Your browser actually never ever sees the original PHP code. And this is a perfect illustration of how easy it is to get started. Here we have two examples of the classic Hello World. On the left, a nice, clean, typed-out version, and on the right, you can see the exact same logic right from those handwritten notes. That one command, echo, is all you need to print something to the page. It's simple, it's clear, and it's pretty much the first step every single PHP developer takes. All right, now to do anything actually useful with our code, we need a way to store information. And that's where variables and data types come into play. In PHP, the rule for variables couldn't be simpler. If it starts with a $sign, it's a variable. That's it. This little visual cue makes the code super easy to read because you always know exactly when you're looking at a piece of data that's being stored. And hey, remember when we mentioned that PHP is loosely typed? This is exactly what we were talking about. You can create a variable and put some text in it. Then, on the very next line, you can take that same variable and put a number in it instead. PHP just figures it out. This kind of flexibility is a huge reason why it's so friendly for beginners. But just because it's flexible doesn't mean it's not powerful. Under the hood, PHP organizes data into three main categories. You've got your scalar types, which are single values, like a number or a string of text. Then you've got compound types, like arrays, which can hold a whole collection of values. And then you have some special types for more unique situations. This simple structure gives you all the tools you need to handle pretty much any kind of information.
So you've seen the power, the potential, and the basics. The next logical question is, how do you actually get started? Well, the good news is there's a really clear, well-established path to follow. Here's a tried-and-true 12-week roadmap. You'd start with the absolute essentials in the first couple of weeks. By week 3, you're already writing functions and building small projects. Then you move on to handling data from web forms. By week 10, you're getting into more advanced stuff like object-oriented programming, which is how you organize code for much bigger applications. This isn't just some vague idea. It's a concrete, actionable plan to take you from zero to actually building things. So let's wrap this all up with the key things to remember. First, PHP is still a dominant language on the web, especially on the server side. Second, it's incredibly friendly for beginners and has a really strong job market. And third, there is a clear, structured path for you to start learning it today.
So we've walked through the what, the why, and the how of PHP in 2025. The only real question left is for you. With all its power, its accessibility, and its huge presence on the web, could your next big project be a PHP project? Thanks for tuning in.